start. Hugo, hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Do it in public. You have nothing to hide. Start using the internet.
I am very good, you.
I'm also doing good. Okay, so just for context, we already chatted with Hugo like for around 20 minutes, already had a great chat, so probably we'll rediscuss some questions. But like to introduce, so we met with Hugo in May when we were running Nana Grid Challenge. He didn't apply in time, or what I didn't remember what happened, but he was the last to join. And wasn't really great in participating, but I mean, it was a cool startup and like a cool guy in our cohort anyway. So I know that Hugo is indie hacking like cool stuff. So, but I let you introduce you. So tell your like story. How did you get in the indie hacking? Like, what is your background? What you're working on right now? Stuff like this.
Okay, that's a long story. Okay, so yeah, it's about the Nano Challenge. I actually joined because I thought it could be interesting for me to like kind of push through with Scribbler, but we'll circle back to that at some point. And I honestly did not post because or didn't post much just because it's very hard for me to like be on a lot of different channels. Just be on Twitter, like building in public is, I think, maybe you could share your advice later on like how you build so well in public. You, even Dan, even Alex, even Nick, like they're all people that builds really well in public. And I think that that's one of my challenge because I've always been in my life person that is very secretive, that never really share that much about my life. I'm just like heads down on to work. So that's kind of one of the reason of like why it's so hard for me to I guess share in more than one place. Like just commit to one place for me is just like it's enough. But yeah, so long story short, over like my entire story. So I'll try to do it short. So I always been hacking on lots of different things. I was young. I was like destroying things to know how they were built inside, like build toys or like whatever it was. And I was always experimenting, creating things. Like I remember I was like creating a like little elevator from like down from the basement to like the first floor of the house in my parents' place. I was like very, very young. I've always liked to experiment like these, like kind of do things. And when I was 15, I was working at Staples, and I've always had project. You know, I'll go back before that, before Staples. So when I was playing Rainbow Six 3 Black Arrow on Xbox Live, like Xbox was my first console when I was maybe like 12 years old, and it was the first time in my life that I got this sense of community, and I wanted to contribute to the community, and I saw that some had websites, and that's how I actually went into like learning to by myself, like got to learn by myself, self-taught, like HTML, CSS, and then further on at the time when like PHP new was a thing, like I learned PHP, MySQL to code. So yeah, I was at that time I was 13 years old, and when I was 15, I was playing Rainbow Six 3. But like no, I was playing actually when I was 15, I changed from Xbox Live to PC. I was playing Counter-Strike Source at the time. I've always played, you know, on online games. I just like the sense of community, the sense of like being able to communicate with people. And you know, I was working at Staples, and one guy, you know, told me, "Oh, I have like this server. We could start a game server company." So that was my first official business. That's how I got into entrepreneurship. And then a few years later, about 5 years later, yeah, 5 years later, or maybe 4. Anyway, it doesn't matter. At the beginning of the journey of Peter Levels, I've got to hear about him. I was at that time. I forgot if I was almost about to begin university or at the beginning of this university, but it doesn't matter. So the point is, I got to learn about Peter Level, what he does, and I was like, this is very cool. Like, I want to do that. I've always when I first got into entrepreneurship when I was 15, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know what it was before, but I always had a little different project. And yeah, so when I heard about Peter Levels, I told my father at some point. I remember he was in the laundry room and I was telling him like, I want like at some point in my life have this business as like an umbrella for all those little products I would create. So that's pretty much just the principle um, of having a small personal holding company. And that's exactly what Peter Level is doing, and this principle of small bets that Daniel Vassal talks about as well. And that's always something that's stuck in my mind. But I've always been, I finished university when I was 25, and because my school parkour is or trajectory was very like different. I did like computer science, then digital computer science, then I switched into like digital like multimedia, where I did like audio, video, 3D, web design, coding. So I pretty much touched everything because computer science was way too like just code, and I preferred the creative part. And then I did like business administration, but I didn't like it, so I switched into a custom bachelor where I did like communication consummation, customer consummation, and then design and marketing. So I have a very like broad kind of background because I've been doing that by myself before I went into school to kind of learn it. But then when I finished university, I worked for Yellow Pages as a growth hacker because that was the route that I took after. Instead of being a web developer, I wanted to be more of a conversion optimization specialist, and that's what I've been doing. That's what I did for 5 years almost. And I after the layoff when I worked at Yellow Pages as a growth hacker, they already laid off like 500 people. It was my first time where I was just like, this is the best opportunity for me to start a business. I've always wanted to do it officially because before I was building projects. I was working at the same time part-time as I was going to school. So it was like the best time for me to start a business. So I was like, let me start an agency. So I started an agency of personalization and analytics. But at the time, I hadn't, never really confronted all of my kind of inner demons. Let's put it this way. Because when I had my second business, which was t-shirt design, and I didn't sell that much of it. My sister was selling more than me, and it's because I've always been kind of scared of selling, promoting, talking about myself. So like that demon kind of came back in the agency. I was building the entire like back end of the business. It was like airtight, but I was not doing sales efforts, and so I was not having that much efforts. So yeah, that's kind of like what like kind of started the journey into like the high ticket part, the agency, social media marketing agency, etc. So I've went into like some programs, course, all of that. Like some are very expensive in the US, so I've invested a lot of money into that. That helped me in terms of the sales part, but I never felt fulfilled, and I always felt that like it was like there was not enough. I don't want to say like creativity, but like it was just not filling me, and that's kind of what brought me back. I think that was 3 years ago. I think something like that. I was talking to one of my friends slash coach slash mentor, and he was telling me like, you know what, like instead of like trying to push through like high ticket, why don't you just do like multiple products? Like if you sell, let's say 100 of like, I don't know, at 100 at $10, you're at 10,000, you're at $1,000. So you just have to create more products. I was like, you know what, I've always wanted to do that, but never had kind of the guts to like commit to it. So at that time, I had closed the agency, and I had became partner into another marketing agency to take care of all of the back end, because everything that is back end efficiency, optimization, flow systems, automation is really like my kind of inner genius when it comes to like things to do on top of like building things. And that's really what, like, that was bringing me some financial security that I could have, that was allowing me at that time to commit into building products. So that's kind of what really, that's kind of the full circle of like me. Maybe that was actually 10 years before that. It took me like 10 years from when I said to my father, like, I want to be like Peter Level, sort of, to like me committing to it. Because through that, I went through the process of, agency, working for people, agency work, starting my own agency and all of that. So that's kind of like the full circle of like, I just pretty much brought myself back to like the the how do you call that, the starting point, pretty much. So that's the entire journey, and from that I started building different products. But over the time, like as of now, that's the crazy thing, is that's what I'm committed to do until the end of the year. Is I have close to, I think, 20-ish product that I've built over all of these years, and I've never really put publicly or never really promoted. So like, I have a lot of things that I've built but never really talked about it, never really put it into a shape or form that could be sellable. So that's kind of like my entire like somewhat journey and up to now, I guess.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, and can you like sum up like probably like your businesses? So what you have, like what was the most successful? Just like one, two, three, because you mentioned like second, third business. Can you list them?
Yeah, so the first one was the game server hosting company.
Okay.
That one, it was doing decently well, but the reason why it had to close is because my partner had financial issues, and he tried to screw me over. At the time, I was 16 and he was 21, so I had to go at 16 years old, knock on the door at his parents' place to be like, "Hey, what's up?" I gave him money, but nothing happened. Like, where did my money go? So that's kind of how I had to deal with the first time in my life where someone tries to screw me over and I was my business partner. So that's kind of why it stopped. And then the second one, the t-shirt design, that one didn't do very very well. Barely did any money, because I was just not good at selling. I didn't understand the principles. Yeah, so overall I was just not good. Then um the third one, the agency, that's the third one officially, but there was definitely plenty of other side projects on like across that. But the agency, that one, it did honestly $0 until I went into a program where I had to switch from personalization, and I did social media marketing. So I did Facebook ads, and as of today, and I got one client at that time. It took me like almost a year after I started the program to get a client. But at that time, that client I paid is still with me as of today. So that client have been with me for like 3 years, and I'm still fulfilling the Facebook ads for him. So I'm very, very grateful for him. But that's definitely not like what I would like to do with my life. I keep doing it because I like to serve people, and I don't think it would be good for me to just tell him, you know what, I want to stop doing this. Just do your own things. I don't want to like give up on people that way. Um, but yeah, so overall, like money wise, I had different products. Like I built one product that did a bit of money, but that was a lifetime deal. So I kind of learned the mistake on, you know, ma- making money once. Like it's nice money when you receive it, but then when you start thinking of like all of the recurring expenses, you're like, shit. So that's why Scribbler didn't do any type of lifetime deal. But Scribbler is we could say like the fifth official. Actually, no. It's actually the sixth one. The one before the lifetime deal, it was a financial spreadsheet. That's called Shield, and I've sold it on AppSumo. and that one did decently okay. Like it did close to 5K, 4,000 something in total over maybe 3 years. But that's financial spreadsheet. I've been working on it for 5 years, something like that, because I was doing it for myself, so I could keep track of my finances, just give that to my accountant very easily at the end of the year. And literally this year, last January, it took me literally 3 hours to do my end of the year finances, just because my spreadsheet allows me to do that, because I keep track of my finances every other day or every other week. So I'm very on track. I know where I am in the business. I know what are my financials, and at the end of the year, I just have to make sure that I have all of my transactions. If there's some missing, I just add them, which usually is like very few, and then I'm good to go. So I don't have the stress of the end of the year. But anyway, the point with that financial spreadsheet did decently well. Scribbler, to go back to the sixth one, which is like the last one, have been doing in terms of, not sure if I can see it there. In terms of MRR at the moment, it's in euros because my Stripe is in euros, so it's 154 MRR. But overall, if I would be to calculate, so that was like a total of 51 customer. 51 customer, let's say 51 multiplied by 9. So probably around, and some have renewed, so probably around like close to $500, not euros, but $500 total revenue as of now. And this Scribbler was started in April, end of April. So yeah, I got very lucky because I posted on Reddit, and someone 24 hours after kind of bought it. So I was very, very lucky. But then I also got me banned from Roast My Startup because I tried to the subreddit. I tried to just post something, no one replied. So I was like, well, if no one gave feedback, let me see if I can improve the post. So I reposted a new post, but improved. And the moderator just banned me because he was like, that's a duplicate. I'm like, oh, well, I was not aware that it was such a thing, that it's like you improving the post as a duplicate, but I get it. I would have preferred a warning than a ban, but it's too late.
Okay, get it.
Sorry.
Okay, cool. So Scribbler is like the most successful up to date, or okay. So you said like or from the project's revenue side.
Yeah. From a recurring revenue standpoint, as the most successful one.
Nice.
On overall, entire revenue, the most successful one I would say was the financial spreadsheet, and the last one was the lifetime deal one, which was like $1,000, $2,000. So yeah, Scribbler is the most successful one at some point.
Nice. And like as you build in like projects, like do you do like consulting or like do you do it full time right now?
So great question. So I'm taking about 2 days a week to work on Scribbler. There's 1 day a week that is kind of a floating day of what depending of what are the needs. It's either I try to either do like more of a like another project or something else there, like kind of more creative type of day, or promotion type of day. And then I now just very recently, I have another I put 2 other days where I focus on the agency that I'm partner in, or kind of consulting work that I do. So that's very the length of it. So do I feel like, if you want to know, like, do I feel like sometimes I'm not working fast enough? 100%. But at the same time, I got to pay the bills. So I have to weigh the pros and cons.
Cool, cool. So these like 2 days, like in like marketing agency, they sustain like can sustain you, so you can build projects, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Nice. Yeah, so it's cool. So you found a way. And what you're doing for the agency, is it like buying ads or it's different thing?
So there's as of now, I have kind of three source of revenue. There's the first one is the client for Facebook ads.
Mhm.
The second one is where the agency that I'm partner in at 50% for now.
Mhm.
I'll probably change to 25%, but doesn't matter. It gives me a kind of a steady some sort of like salary. And then the third one, that one is newer, is more of a it's very interesting. It's kind of like indie hacking, but within a business. So they approached me to kind of work with me to build tools internally for their business, because
Mm.
long story short, like my strength is finding ways of improving the back end of businesses or improving things. So he pretty much approached me knowing that, and he was like, so my PR workflow is not good enough. How can I do X, Y, and Z? So I pretty much build tools leveraging AI to help them with all of their entire PR from like A to Z. I'm not gonna talk about it right now, like what are the exact things, because I don't want to like ruin the not the loyalty, but the work that I'm doing with them, because I'm not necessarily supposed to talk about all of these details.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so I'm basically building kind of internal tools that I see could definitely become a SaaS on the long run. So that's very interesting, because it allows me to build things and touch things that, if I would be to do that while like indie hacking, I would have to kind of trade my time from like Scribbler to that to like more like research and development. But if I do that, I'm kind of not progressing and moving forward on Scribbler. So that I like to be able to have that, because it's kind of the best of the two worlds. You have someone that is willing to pay you. You have someone that has a need. So you
Mhm.
just like you just not you're not like building something hoping that someone will need it. There's literally a need from a pain point that they have, and you get to build things and kind of build the muscle of building and shipping fast, while also somewhat like learning new things if there's new things to learn. It's just very interesting to like an interesting challenge, which kind of brings me back to when you're being told you have to you had to get customers before starting to build, kind of this approach like sell before building.
Yeah.
So it's kind of gives me a bit of a kind of a simple taste of what that could look like if I would be to do that. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, interesting approach, and I think that's how the agency will transition to like. So I mean, people will not hire agencies, but more like. So it's the same like freelancer, but it now more interesting because people promoting themselves as agencies, as a solo founders, as indie hackers type of things. So that's I think will be more common. So it's not like hiring a freelancer; it's hiring someone with the offer. So it's
Yeah, it's like having your own indie hacker in house.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's also like very important because now we'll need like some for part like to work with our people. So that's what we will try to do, like to attract more people in our team, so they work with our people, so they learn like their skills and vice versa. So I think it's important.
Exactly, because that's actually a good differentiation that you're talking about. I think that a um, a freelancer doesn't have the same mindset, because that's interesting, because like when I'm in the agency and we work with the freelancers, I can definitely tell you that the mindset of a freelancer versus a mindset of an indie hacker is completely different. Like the
Mhm.
indie hacker is much more creative, much more open to like disrupting things, much more willing to do the hard work in a way, while the freelancer, he's more about like comfort. He's more about like just paying the bill, just getting the work done, and kind of moving to the next client, or retaining the client but moving to like the next project, so they can keep like more inflow of income coming in. While the indie hacker, he's just like, I want to do this because it's just awesome, and if I'm not going to count my hours because I just want to have this done well. Like, it's a very different approach, a very different mindset, I think.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is the same for companies. So it's basically a service versus product approach. So some people, they stuck in the servicing and they think that it's the end goal is just to do service. And service is measured in hours, and if hours work, it works. So it's a different thing from building products, because when you build products, you see that nobody cares about these products. So it's not easy to launch them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's very interesting, because I kind of went through my journey of like, I was a believer that high ticket, like when I was having my agency, there was, there's so many in the US and online, there's so many people that are just like, so many course program, I don't want to say like guru, that are just about, oh, high ticket is the way to go. You have to sell high ticket, increase your price, blah blah. Like, even like Alex Hormozy is a, like, I very very like him as an entrepreneur. He's amazing, but like, he's also part of that, what some people would call like the bro marketing, which is more like, you have to
Just do it. Like,
maybe, yeah. So like for example, Alex Ramuzi would talk about, you have to have one product, one channel to like get to 1 million, which, like, it can definitely work, but a lot of what I don't agree with is that a lot of people from, these like course program, like somewhat expert or guru, whatever you want to call, they it's like they see it as the, like, what's the term for that, when like it's the, anyway, like the golden thing, like that's the one thing that there's no other way.
mhm.
But in truth is, there's multiple ways of getting to 1 million, and it doesn't have to be, a high ticket. Yes, it could be one easier way, but if that easier way does not fulfill you and make you feel like shit every single day, I lived like that for almost 3 years. I hated for almost 3 years, and for 1 year or more, I was cold calling up to 80 something people per day. It's freaking horrible. Like, I hated my life, and that's why I went back to my idea of building multiple products, because I was like, I'm miserable. I hate my agency. I don't want to do that. And that's why, for me, building products, I was just like, I'd rather make a lot of, like, not I'd rather make a smaller amount of money, be happy in what I do, than be miserable trying to promote one offer in one channel to make 1 million. Like, yes, the 1 million is great, but if I'm miserable, like, what's the point? Like, I don't want to. Like, I was watching a video once of the video of the speech of Steve Jobs at the university, and I was just like, it hit me very hard, because I realized that I don't want to be miserable, and at some point, like, maybe die freaking miserable, because I was focusing on the money, and I was, instead of focusing on what I like to do, which is building things, improving things, all of that. So yeah, that was like my my realization of, like, I don't want to be in high ticket and be miserable. If I'm in high ticket, I have to be happy. And I think there's ways. I think that, like, indie hiking is a way of doing some sort of high ticket work, because you're, like, I've heard stories of indie hackers, being offered very decent prices, very decent, recurring retainer or recurring fee to do things for people. Why? Because they build in public. They show up every day. They show what they're capable of doing, and they're able, and people come to them because they're like, oh, I've seen what you're doing, what you're able to do. Let me pay you to do this thing for me. Doesn't mean that they will accept, because some people prefer to work on their project instead of having that. But still, if you show what you're capable of, you increase your chances of having people come to you and offer you things.
Well, that's absolutely. Uh,
Yeah.
Okay, let me check the notes. We have a lot of to discuss here. Okay, one probably small note, but it's interesting that you mentioned like gaming because I also have one episode that I'll release with Anton, and he said that he discovered internet through the game Second Life, I believe, or probably some other game, because he also like wrote some scripts and there was some community. Like it's the same that you're saying about Roblox. My friend, he also learned this stuff from World of Warcraft, and he often mentioned it's like it was cool, like it's real. And now he also leads groups for musicians and stuff. So it's interesting that gaming is often the source. Uh, so was you like really active in this gaming community?
Yeah, so I think that, like, interestingly, I think that people that's very interesting, because I think people that comes from the video game part, at least maybe less now, but at the time, like in the old days, let's really put it this way. I'm not that old, but like, you know, it's just different. Same thing as, I mean, we both like electronic music. So if I were to refer it to, in the old days of raving, even though I don't consume alcohol and no drugs either, like I used to go in raves, and for me, my drug was the music, and it still is today. So like, I think it's the same thing with internet. Like in the old days, forum were a thing. Now you don't really have forums. Like Reddit is the most open forums, but like now on the Reddit, people are just toxic. People are just
Right.
extremely negative, which is very, very bad. While before, I think people were so helpful. People were so, cheerful and helpful. You still have that on Reddit in some places, but the majority of people are used to be either toxic, negative, or self-depreciating on other people. So it's very not pleasant to have that. And even on Twitter, sometimes you see that. And that, I think that comes from the fact that there's so much pressure on in society to look in a specific way, do specific things, that people become mentally unhealthy unless they do some type of inner work. I've been doing inner work for like the last 3 years, and I used to be very, very, very negative, very like impulsive, and very, you know, like, the definition of like some people would call like a hater. Now I'm much better. I've became a better person, better husband, better life partner, just because I've worked on myself, and I'm able to see things. Am I perfect? Hell not. Like I'm definitely not perfect. But that helped me tremendously of being less triggered about things. And I just think that before, in the time, the forums, like video game, all of that, I don't think people were that triggered, because there was like none of that social pressure really existed. I saw a video on Twitter not so long ago of like people that were buying the PS2 and like were waiting in line. There was a sense of community. Like before, people were saying hi to everyone. People were like kind of cheerful. They were gathering. Like I went for in Montreal, there was a LAN party called LAN ETS. I went there for like 5 years in a row, and that you have that same type of sense of community. Um, like unless you're part of some sort of like community, you fall into a place where people are not there to support you, and that's really, I think, what's missing, and that's what the indie haiku community is helping. And I remember someone was telling me on Twitter, like I was having a debate about, I think it was Tailwind or even no, that was High Ticket on Twitter. And that person was like, oh, it feels great to have a open and healthy and, debate on Twitter that is not like just like, you're wrong, I'm right. It's just like, I was open to ideas. And I think it's just, overall, it is just a combination of different things that in the past, these online prisons was allowing you to be like that, and that's what made me fall in love with online gaming. Is just so much pure or more genuine connections. Why? Because you connect with the voice of the person. What that means is that you connect with the mind of the person, and you like or you don't like that person based on the personality, not on like how they look, not on you know other factors. I remember I was friend with a guy that I met once, and when I saw him, I was just thinking in my mind, I don't think I would have approached that person if I would have not known that person from an online gaming. But yet we were friends now, and that was the beauty of it. I just don't think that that would happen nowadays. I think people are way too much focused on appearances and too much focused on how they can, I don't want to say pretend to look to their society, but that's just kind of how it is. Like people wants to have, like, appearance is very important now. You have to show, you have to dress in a specific way, you have to look a specific way, you have to look sexual in a specific way. That's why now like striped MRR or striped charts are like a thing. It wasn't like, you know, now there's jokes around about it. People like go in the test mode and fake their data and like show that like that's a joke. It just shows like how now like people are ridiculizing this instead of, you know, going into the hype train. That's my rant.
Yeah, so it seems like you're thinking a lot about this status thing, right? Because also talking about Twitter levels, I saw that you got a retweet, right, recently, like with this car thing with the guy.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, if
What
Ben
is-
if Ben Tossel is listening to that, I'm very very sorry. I did not mean to offend you, in honestly no ways, and like I didn't mean to discredit you. But the point with that is, like I was seeing on my feed the post of Ben Tossel, and I was just like, what about cars makes it a, you know, an object of success? Because I remember when I went to China, I was I think 18 years old. It was 12 years ago or 13 years ago, when I went to China for the first time in an organized trip, and the guide brought us into like a more poor neighborhood, because, you know, there was things to see around, but like the neighborhood was much more poor, and I saw like Mercedes, BMWs. I was like, these people lives in a house of the size of a bedroom, and yet they have a Mercedes, they have a BMW. And I was asking the guy, like, why is that a thing? And the guy was saying it's for appearances purposes. Like, and you see that not even today, in these days. Now is more like you have to wear the suit that is fancy, wear the car, you have to get out of the car that is fancy as well. And I was thinking, like, why does this have to be a symbol of success? Why not other things? Why not, like, there was I forgot his name. There was another person. I think his name is Ricardo. But from the guy from search job board or job board search, whatever. I forgot to have a blank. Damn it. But yeah. So he kind of shared a post about like the new flex is not cars, not appearance, is more about like freedom, and that's very true. Like you have also this meme of where you have like the big mention, and it was written like some people, you know, hustle to show off, and some other people hustle to disappear. And I'm part of the second one. I I prefer to hustle to disappear. I have my own like little like secret garden, my greenhouse, like my like live in the middle of nowhere, which is what I do now. I've been lucky enough to be able to get that life. But like for me, I'm not. I mean, first of all, I'm not a car person, so that does not help me identify with cars. Does that mean that I wouldn't like to have a fancy car? That's nice. Yes, I would not say no, but that would not be my first pick, and that's why I was just saying, like, what about cars makes it a symbol of success? Why is this object named a car is a symbol of success? Why not this intangible object named lifestyle of freedom, or lifestyle of like, I don't know, indie hacker, of do whatever you want with your time, like having freedom of doing whatever you want with your time? Like, why is this not thing? Like, it's, and I think that through the conversation of with people, I realized that it's all about the object and not the intangible things. Even though influencers do show these intangible things through like pictures, the object is kind of just like a symbol, is something that where it's kind of like a reward that you get for yourself, like a trophy. You achieve this milestone instead of like, well, the lifestyle you cannot have. yeah, you could have the different levels of like true like milestones, you know, like traveling all the time economy, traveling all the time first class, traveling all the time in first class, and also like 5 stars hotel. Like I think there's levels there as well, but it's much harder to show than like a materialistic thing. And I'm definitely like, you can see behind, you know, I'm definitely like a shopaholic, but I also have much less attachment to fancier things. And that's why for me the lifestyle like experiences is more important than like a car. For me, if a car is reliable to bring me from point A to point B, that's enough. It has four wheels, good. It works. Like, but again, you know, I didn't mean to offend Ben. I just think that that's what I was saying earlier. I just think that some communities or the internet have become toxic, and I think that Ben probably saw it as like me attacking him. And I didn't mean that. I just quoted his tweet because that's what triggered my sparked my thoughts. But I didn't mean to offend him. And again, Ben, if you listen to that, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Just go look at your DMs. I apologize there as well. So yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned like as for like this being toxic on the internet, you mentioned that you changed like during these 3 years. Do you mean 3 years of indie hacking? So that's what pushed you like to be better?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm a person that is very all about better self. There's like the two most important things about me is improvement about everything, like efficiency. Like if you have to be a more efficient person, a better person, better basically bettering yourself, bettering processes, bettering products, but also being more in flow, like loving what you do. And that's why like for me, like this is just, I guess, intrinsic to me. But the most important thing I would say is becoming an entrepreneur. I think becoming an entrepreneur is like the one thing that would push anyone to becoming better. If you're not an entrepreneur, you don't have like the fire and under the ass. You don't have like you're not sitting on like on a chair that can be ejected at any point, like where you, like if you do wrongly, you're being shot out into space. You're just like, you're forced. You have to combat your own demons of like, if you don't like to sell, you have to learn to sell. If you don't like to code, you have to learn. You have to like get out of your comfort zone so many times in a day or even in a week, that it forces you to become a better person. And because of, you have to deal with people, you have to deal with clients, you have to deal with prospect, you have to deal with even cold email, if like cold email or people that reach out to you, anyway, you have to deal with people that are much more, I don't want to say toxic, or more, basically you deal with more opportunities of facing others people demons, and other people's reaction towards you, and you have to decide, how do I choose to react to those people? Do I want to react as well, and kind of like it becomes like a fight, like I'm reacting and he's reacting, and we're just like trying to react towards each other? Or is there one side of like, who's the better person in the two, that will kind of embrace the reaction of the other person, and respond instead of react? So that will be much better. And I think it's just a combination of different things. And that's why entrepreneurship, in my opinion, is like a good path. Is not the only one. Again, same thing as like doing a million is not the only path. Like one offer, one channel is not the only path. But like entrepreneurship is another path that forces you to meet your own demons and combat them and surpass them.
Right. Yeah, I spoke a lot of references while we were talking about it. Like first of all, it's references to content that I'm often tweeting about, writing about. So first of all, it's about 100 days of rejection. Do you know this challenge?
No.
Yeah, I can send you a link. So some guy, I think it's around 10 years ago, he did a challenge that was called 100 day rejection challenge. and the goal for every day was to get a rejection from a person. So he pushed to do weird things, so other people say no to him, and if they say no, he win. If they agree, he lose. And what he discovered, like a lot of people, they say yes, like even for the weird stuff. And he had like a great talk on that, and yeah, I can also send you later. The next thing is, so I learned about this guy from Derek Sivers. Do you know this author?
Yeah, he's very, very good. Actually,
Yeah,
I've
he's my
read
favorite.
two of his three books so far. Oh, no, he has four books, but I bought three and I read two of them. Yeah, he's very
Awesome.
good.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite authors, and I'm also tagging him off and hope he's not mad at me. So I learned about rejection therapy from him, and also he had like a few articles like on that. One of them called I think Another Person Just Like You, and that story about like his like friend who got really aggressive email. She like cried over weekend. She did everything right. She refunded, like it was like about business. She's doing some clothing, and she refunded. And after a weekend, she called to the angry client. He said, "Oh, you know what? I wasn't angry at all. Like it's okay, it's okay." So it's like show like how much like stress she lived like for nothing, just
Yeah.
because like someone wanted to yell at her. So it's one thing. And another thing is also other article called like "Don't Punish Everyone for One." Mistake of one person, I think something like that. And it's about more like business, like when someone violates your policy, they probably screw up, they didn't pay you. The most basic thing that you want to do is to introduce some new policy so it never happen again. But if you do like this, your business will suck. Like you will have onboardings on every step, you will collect all the data possible, no one will enjoy this process because it's not longer for them, it's for you, like to be safe. And as an example, he said about some restaurants, you know, what that's like say no this, no that, not this, not that, and you just sitting and looking on all this, like not doing everything, like whatever it can be. So it's all like about internet too. It's not when you're debating with someone, it's not reacting like you said. It's not punishing everyone for someone's mistake. Just to be polite. And I think it's important for entrepreneur to get through these rejections and to be nice. Just basically to have audience around, people to help, to support, to buy probably. So I think it's natural that you have to be like kind of nice, or you have to scam people. So it's like the two things that I see.
Yeah, those two stories, I think they are even in the. I didn't know they were blog posts. That's great, but like they are also in his book, Anything You Want.
Right.
So they're very, very good stories. Good point on pointing them out.
Yeah, like and I really find a lot and repurposing his articles when it's spreading around, because I think it's genius how concise and practical and philosophical they are at the same time. So I'm
Very
trying
true.
to copy his style.
Yeah, no, Derek Severs did an amazing job on making you think through very, very short stories. That's what I actually really love about the two books I read so far. It's just very, very concise and it's not too much fluff. Like when you buy them and you don't know Derek Severs that much, it sounds expensive because they're very tiny, they're small
Uh,
books and they're kind of somewhat pricey. But when you read them, you're just like, you know what? Almost every single dollar were worth it. So like, don't like it's just very, very pleasant to read. Yeah.
nice, nice. Okay, and yeah, I see a lot of books around you. So as for getting like say a better person, one of the best books that I found is Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. You know that, right, from Mark Manson.
Yeah.
So the most of my like calm life that I learned, it was from this book, and I was really stressed like 3 years ago, and
I
I was
have it somewhere. I have it somewhere, the book. I forget where it is.
yeah, everyone should have it, and like even outside startups, so it's very popular. But people probably see it like a popular book, like not worth it, but it's like genius book. Like in case of Derek Sivers, like concise, practical, and I found how he writes such great books. He basically reads thousands of books, and he reads a lot of philosophy and stuff like this. So he just read all the great stuff and gave it in the really great book, let's say.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find it. I'm lost where it is. I'll have to I'll have to look. I forgot where it is. Anyway.
So the question is, what are your favorites book? Probably what or authors like who first come to mind? Probably also outside of self-help, some fiction books.
Outside of self-help. Because like the first book that I've ever, like the first non-fiction book that I've ever read, was How to Make Friends and Influence People from Dale Carnegie. Very good. Like the title sounds very like cheesy or sketchy, but like when you read it, it's just how to become a better person. In terms of like fiction book, which is the only, I mean, not the only one. My favorite fiction book is very like, it's The Alchemist from Paulo Coelho.
Right.
Coelho. Very, very good. In terms of like non-self-help, let me see what I read. Start from Zero.
What is it?
Start from Zero from Dane Maxwell.
Okay.
It's very interesting because it's hey, one second, I'm putting it back here. So yeah, so it's very good. It's a very good book. It kind of helps you a lot to get started get the mindset of being an owner instead of being an expert. Like it's about owning assets instead of kind of selling your time, and like that for me that helped me a lot. Even though I knew a lot about what he was talking about in the book, it was very helpful to kind of get reminders and things like that. Otherwise, those two are very good. I mean, I think this one, Lounge, from Jeff Walker.
Okay.
I think every indie hackers or anyone that has an online business should kind of read that. It's just very valuable in terms of like.
Can you show it again? I will screenshot. Like as you said, everyone should. Okay, I did.
So yes, like that's so like that's the product launch formula. It's that's a book about it, and it's very, very good. Because it shares about what type of flow, like email flow, you should have, or how you can leverage emails to or even social media to build an audience, sell products. That one was very, very helpful. It just sparked light in my head. Like I was reading it, I was just like, this is perfect. But then like I'm just like now I'm in a place of like I have to build an email list now. How do I do this? What would I talk about? And that's kind of where like my own inner demons about building in publics comes into. Is like, well, like like you're not good enough, or like what you're saying is like not valuable. No one will like it, and that's kind of like these type of like things that entrepreneurs have to deal with. And that's why I think it's very important to do inner work, but to help yourself surpass these inner demons. There's many ways of working on yourself, but I think it's just very important. Let me see if there's other books.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that overall that and anything you want is another.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's a very good one. I think that like those three. I mean, I could say Alex Hormozi, $100 millions offer is very good as well. Like Alex Hormozi, honestly, like he is very down to earth entrepreneur. He also like write in a way that is so pleasant to read. But yeah, I would say like those three first books, or four books if you want to put Alex Hormozi in there as well. I think they're very, very, very good, very helpful and insightful.
Okay, so we just made you an article, right? So that's the first thing that you can post, like 4 books that I recommend.
Yeah. No, I actually made a YouTube video
Oh, you,
about it.
you already have it?
Yeah, it's already recorded. I think that I'm more of a video person than a writing person,
Oh,
but
cool.
I'd love to be able to write better. That's a huge, thing I want to learn.
Cool, cool. Okay, so as we discussed books, let's probably switch to some practical questions. I think we can wrap up soon. But as you mentioned, also like launch formula, and as you like built a lot of projects and learned a lot, like what would be your like a launch plan for now for other people to learn from you, or like what do you want to try? So okay, so you have idea, probably you already have some even interest around it, and you decide to validate it or build it. Like how do you approach it?
Great question. Ouch. Being put on the spot in a way that is uncomfortable. Uh, because
Yeah, you can just so you can just explain story of Scribbler. Just don't be nervous because you already did it. So let's change it. Like how to get to 150 MRR. So that's what you can tell already, right?
all right, so thank you for helping me get past my inner demon of not believing in myself that I can give you insightful advice about how to launch a product. But yeah, how Scribbler, how it happened, it was very, very interesting. So I pretty much posted on, I actually have a tweet about it. Would have to find it, but the long story short, I did a post on a hiker as well. But long story short is, um, I posted on Twitter, I posted on Reddit, in different subreddits, and the traffic started to come into the website. And
Okay, can we go to like the very beginning? So should
oh,
you have yeah, sorry to interrupt, but so you already had a product, right? So you already have something working. But before the moment, like, did you try to like get some users to test it or to validate the idea, like before even building it?
I should have, but I didn't.
Yeah, it's not like don't feel stressed because it's perfectly cool and you did much better than like anyone who didn't do it. So and it's interesting to learn like your ways because probably yours better. So again, don't be
Right.
shy.
So the way that it happened, it pretty much started as I saw something on Reddit, and I was just thinking, oh, that's interesting. I think that this could be done in a more generic way, a more general way than just this specific use case. And in 1 day or 2 days, I forgot how long it took, I built the backend of Scribbler. And then I reached out to
How many time did it take? Like days, you
maybe
said?
2 or 3 days.
Yeah, that's like that's the first thing. Like you were shy, but that's like the first killer advice from you. Like it should take like 2 to 3 days to build something. It's awesome advice.
Yeah, like I think that to build something, it should take big maximum 2 weeks. I
Awesome.
think if you start from scratch and you do something more complicated, because Scribbler was very, very simple. And as of today, Scribbler were like what it is. Scribbler is one PHP file. I mean, it's actually more than one, but that's like because I separated them. But if you could put them all into one, that's one PHP file. That calls a spreadsheet to check in the spreadsheet if the user exists and if the license key is valid. Simple as that. It's very
Man, I think that's the genius. Like the simplicity is where the genius is, right? So, and simplicity means that a lot of people has this use case and they can understand it. So it's all like good knowledge here.
yeah.
I mean,
So
it's
yeah, so
probably not sustainable long term if you build something simple, but it's sustainable to get your first users that you can then like bring to somewhere else. So it's cool.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There was honestly no backend. The way that it worked, there was a Stripe. That was a landing page with a Stripe link, and then that Stripe links sent to a form. And when the form is being submitted, I receive an email. Then I send manually an email to the person saying, "Here's your access key. Here's how to use Scribbler. And if you have any questions, let me know. Now I've automated a few things because now I've added a $1 trial. So I didn't want to like have to do that, you know, all of that trial management manually. I still have manual work to do now with the trial, but at least I've, you know, automated a part of it. But yeah, so circling back to the beginning, I built that in like 2 or 3 days, and then I posted on Twitter how that worked. I think I even reached out to Dan because he was building Content Pal, which was like AI type of platform, and then he gave me feedback. I also reached out to Daniela from controlalt.cc. I think that's her name, Daniela. She gave me a bit of feedback. Then I also reached out to some people that I think could be interested in too. At the same time as posting on Reddit and Twitter. And that's kind of when it started to get free clients. I got like my first customer in like 24 hours. I got very lucky, to be honest. I don't know how that even happened, but I'm very grateful for that first person. So, Corey, if you listen to that, thank you so much for being the first customer. But then after that, I did a product launch. I forgot. I think the product launch happened 2 or 3 weeks after I you know officially promoted it. I'd have to double check in the post, but yeah, I can if you need the post, I can give you the link and you can look into all of that. But that product hunt launch was the turning point moment, because I started to Scribbler got noticed by all of the AI newsletter people, and I got featured in most newsletters for AI. So that plus been added into AI directories. So the fact that it was an AI product very played in my favor for that, because otherwise I would have never been in newsletter and never been in directories. That tremendously helped me get more customers. And when I did the product hunt launch, I think I got like 20, if not 30 new customers, in a span of like a week.
Awesome. And for product hunt launch, did you do it preparation actively? What was your strategy for launch?
I did. How prepared was I? Not as prepared as I should have. There's Maxime Hugo Dupre, or Maxime Dupre on Twitter. He had created a guide that I had access to. I completely forgot I had that. And I did not use it. I was like, damn it, I should have used it afterwards. But yeah, still that really helped me to well, no, I was not going with that. Yeah, so I forgot. If you want to open a light, you can go ahead.
No.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. But let's sum up, because you should understand, because it's your really great framework that you can say and you can follow, right? Because there are a lot of really cool things here. And it's cool that you mentioned that it's AI, so probably it's trend specific. So it's important to understand. But even where you started, not from your idea in your head, you started from some Reddit conversation, right? So you said it was someone discussed or suggested.
Yeah, I actually I'll give the the trick that happened here. So I saw someone that was posting. I saw actually two people, two things pretty much combined together, kind of sparked something in my mind of oh, I should do this. And that was a prompt that someone had created for tarot cards. It was the prompt was saying kind of generate a card, and if it is the card, the Hermit, for example, use this URL, and then that was a list of if it's the Hermit, use this URL structure. If it's this other card, use this one. If it's this other card, use this one. And then here's the URL structure, and then here's where you insert the variable in there. And I was like, this is so smart. That person is using the principle of markdown format of ChatGPT and leveraging this thing with Wikimedia to kind of get an image. I was like, what if I could do that for all of possible images? And that's what I built. That's why I built Scribbler. I was just like, I want to do that, but not just for like Wikimedia. And now I built that. I built it for, you know, any type of images on the web, any type of images of AI images, and any type of Creative Commons images. So there's like three different type of images that you can get with Scribbler, and that's kind of, it all stemmed from the fact that I saw one prompt that was using a clever way of inserting images in ChatGPT, and that's why I built Scribbler, because I thought, I was like, it's I see that it could be simple for me to build. That's why I built it in like 2-3 days. And I was like, I'm gonna put it out there. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. 3 days lost. Not so bad.
Yes, that's cool. Okay, but anyway, you mentioned some Reddit conversation, right? So it was also in the beginning.
Yeah. That all of that was in the beginning of that, and the Reddit posts I did were in some subreddits that I forgot which one, but I like probably Roast My Startup was one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I mean, so I ask you, have you validated it? I say, no, I didn't, but you did everything. So you probably expecting something, but you found your idea in Reddit. It's one of the like idea generation framework. You could say, go to Reddit and research what people are discussing. If there is a discussion and there are a lot of comments and likes, here is something in it. So you can use it for your content. And content is a product. So you basically build product. So that's what
I honestly did not think about it this way, but when you said it, I was like, that is true. That is true, actually, that, you know, that's some sort of validation, you know, the attraction from a post, but I never thought of it this way, honestly.
Yeah, and interesting because all people like indie hackers who came to me, and including Dan, who you referenced a couple of times, he also don't understand like how good it is in like these frameworks and validating things and building this audience. So I was telling also and creating this framework, and you basically following it too.
Yeah, that is amazing. That honestly, like, I almost look up to that. I mean, even you, like the way that you post on Twitter and the way that you like do things, like you guys are very, very inspiring in terms of like how well you're able to, you know, generate traction, generate engagement, generate like simple ideas, like from, you know, A to Z in terms of like shipping fast, executing fast. It's very impressive. And, you know, as a guy that, for example, for me, I'm very much like Peter Levels. I know just PHP. Now Tailwind, that's very new, like CSS, PHP, MySQL, CSS, HTML, JavaScript. I don't very well, you know, jQuery. I prefer JavaScript. So yeah, like I don't know anything about like React or, you know, like Node.js or Vue.js. For me, it like scares me. Like Tailwind, for me, it took me a while. I even have, like, if you go on my Twitter, I even had like kind of hate post towards like Tailwind. I was like, I want to do like pure CSS. I don't want to use Tailwind. And now I'm converted to Tailwind. It really helped me to ship faster, Tailwind. I really love it, but there's also a few things I don't like.
Yeah, interesting fact about Tailwind. Before Tailwind, they had a framework called Semantic UI, and they also had a very awesome book, Refactoring UI. And even before like Twitter, we were using it in production projects, and it was always awesome. It was close to Tailwind, but not more classical one, like close to Bootstrap, if you know it. But it's funny to hear it, and I think that you probably also think that man, I suck. Like I don't know Node.js, but I think it's your advantage too, because knowing all this stuff, it can lead to procrastination, basically like coding in sake of coding because I know how to code. And coding is really easy to hide from customers. So it's very like backend thing, like when you code in. And it's cool that you don't know it because you're trying to solve it with your skills, which is more like front end. And so that's what brings you to people and talking to people and not overcomplicating the product. And I think it's also very important not overcomplicating the product. So if it can be simple and it can gain traffic and nobody can steal it, so it's very difficult to do, but that's ideal product. At least like from the front end side, it should be simple. Probably on the back end, it's 100 people who passing papers.
Yeah, I mean, Peter Levels is a good inspiration of like how, like, there's many people, but like on Twitter, there's many people that we could look up to, but I think Peter Levels is one of the most known one in terms of like what you can build without having to have very deep, coding skills, and that's very beautiful to see because it helps you to be less scared of building something. But for me, the one thing that helped me the most and gave me the most confidence into knowing that I can build things is AI. Like the arrival of AI in coding. For me, it'll like I honestly, for me, it's a blessing because before that, I was not feeling comfortable. I was not feeling able of building lots of things, shipping fast, and things like that. While now, if it would be to ask me like build this, I'd be like on it. And before I would be like, okay, yeah, I'll take a while because I was not a fast coder. I was not a fast builder. I was looking at everyone on Twitter like shipping like crazy, like you, Dan. I mean, Dan, for example, like they're all people that should like would build something in like 2 3 days and like it looks amazing. I'm just like, how the hell did they build that? Because I don't know like React or I don't know like all of these framework that like you make things prettier faster. But like now with AI that I feel confident of building things, and that's I think it's a very beautiful tool to have now.
Yeah, it's very cool that you're saying so. AI, so you approve that AI enables people, and it will enable more like people who never like use technology. So it's very great. And fun fact about me, I'm not using AI.
Wow.
So it's I mean it's a bad thing. So I need to adapt it and do it. But I was like shy, let's say, about it for a long time. But it was always like that for me. So I was always ignoring trends and also status, as you mentioned it, not my thing. And I was always patient about things happening around me. And so, but about AI, like I'm a technical guy, I should learn AI, I should do it, and so on. But I understand the concept of AI, and I understand how it will make Momentum like really a global company. But I understand to make it a global company, I need data. So and data, yeah, AI can help me to collect data, but like for now, like it's more about how do I get this data from the channels, how do I reach to people, how do I win this trust, and so on. So I mean, all the coding, I also don't use Copilot and stuff. I'm just writing it.
Impressive, impressive. I mean, that means that you're a good programmer or you're a good coder, which oh, I'm lifting my hat to you because like not everyone is able to do that. Like for me, I would not be able to do that. I mean, I mean, I had Stack Overflow always open on the side when I was coding. Like Google was my best friend, so that's why like AI for me is very helpful. But does AI is perfect? 100% not. Like ChatGPT makes a lot, or even Copilot. Sometimes they give you code that you're just like, this is shit. This is not good.
Yeah,
But that's why it's important for you to know how to code when you do these things. You cannot just say like, oh, build this app and that everything's going to be fine. No, absolutely not. Like you have to know how to code. You have to be able to read the code and know if it's good or if it's bad based on what you asked.
yeah, that's what my last time of trying to adopt in AI. It was when ChatGPT launched, and like it was the first days so when it was like crazy hype, and I was thinking, wow. So yeah, world has changed. So yeah, it's definitely changed forever. So I should do it. And I spent like probably like 2 days, but I spent full time trying to make it generate the code for Momentum, and it didn't. And I just okay, it's not ready yet. I understand how I can make it generate code, but it's not there yet. Okay.
Yeah, I see ChatGPT more as a faster way of looking on the web on like Stack Overflow.
Oh yeah.
I don't see it as like building from zero. Like it's not a Jarvis, right? That's the name, no Jarvis.
Yeah, there's here.
Yeah, Jarvis. That it's not like Jarvis like in Iron Man yet. And we're still far from this type of artificial intelligence that can, understand and do things very well. Like it's still doing a lot of mistakes.
Right. Yeah, but it's definitely a cool technology to use, and those who won't use it, they will lose. So it's definitely something that we need to adopt like everyone. So it's basically like using computer like in a few years.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I think we're over the time, so we can wrap up. Well, like I can ask you one last question. I ask it to everyone. Like, well, what is your message to building public community?
Great question. Wow, I was not ready for that one. I would say first, be vulnerable, be kind. Um, don't be triggered. People are gonna give them. People are gonna like or dislike. So just like do what you love, and obviously do it in a smart way. Of like, don't just do it like, don't put your head in the sand, forgetting that you have to generate money to pay the bills. You have to get some validation, get some customers, and do learn how to do sales, marketing, promotion. Even though building public was one of them, I think that it has to go beyond just Twitter and like the building public community, because it's a small circle in a way. And I just think that you have to get out of this community to be able to get customers that will be your more ideal customers, unless obviously your audience is Twitter people. But I think that most people are not building for the Twitter audience, I think.
Yeah, it's very important and cool that you mentioned it. It's something that I also am writing these playbooks now, and I also say that keep in mind that building public is just Twitter, just a founder community. So if you sell it to founders, yeah, you can use it. But if you, I don't know, selling tour guides to Spanish people, like it won't work.
Exactly. I mean, I think the way that I see it is similar as like there's like this guy Mark from Work in Progress Whip.co.
Yeah.
It's like a community for makers. I think I would see building public this way. It's a bit like building momentum on delivering, shipping, building, and having the support from the community, and having feedback, like some sort of like feedback loop from the community as well, from other founders. That most of them won't be your customers, but some of them might know someone that might be your customer. So I think that's the way I see it, and obviously learning the skill of selling and promoting outside of that is a great skill to have, because that will definitely enable you to feel confident that you can generate your own income. And that's what I'm working towards to. Like for me, it's like entrepreneurship is about feeling safe that just myself can generate my own income, and like being independent on that. And I'm not there yet. I'm still relying on other external sources, but that's what I'm working towards to.
Nice. Thank you. So I think it's a great end speech.
Do it in public.